Okay, we are live, and welcome to part two to the 48 Laws of Strategy and Marketing. This is your host, Terry Wilburn. I want to share with you a little something before we get started. This whole course is about simply you understanding how to get into the mix of your professional life. You need to understand that making music professionally, at least, is going to be about one simple thing and one thing only, and that is to make a profit off of your efforts. You also need to understand that if that is something that you're not interested in, if you're doing it just for a hobby, then you're in the wrong place. This is, of course, about having a great hobby. By all means, music is my hobby. But it went from a amateur's perspective of, hey, I could do this, to turning into a profession, and then it became a hobby. So I always did music from the perspective of that I want to get paid from my summer, from what I put together, whether it be a mixtape or a slow dance or fixing somebody's audio, if I'm playing a song, if I'm singing or rapping or dancing or writing something, I want to get paid for it. And the celebrities do, why don't I? And so all of these talks will be coming from that perspective. And like I said, if that's something you're not feeling comfortable with at this point in time, feel free to send me a message and I'll opt you out, and you could have your money back. But for those who want to go further, and if I'm right about you, you're one of those type of people that has had enough of sitting on the couch doing nothing all day long but dreaming. If you want to put some action behind your dreams and some focus into your actions, then you're in the right place, because I want to reveal one thing with you today, and that is this, is that knowing how to market your music is going to take you to another level. It's going to give you status that you never thought you could have. In fact, you may have always kind of hinted at that you could have this kind of status, but now you'll know for sure once you're shown these things inside of this course. Excuse me. Yes, and if you'd like to stay inside of this course and learn more, then feel free to do so. Otherwise, just shoot me a message and say, hey, Terry, thanks but no thanks, all right? So anyhow, for us, we'll be beginning today, you and I, we'll be starting to talk about part two of marketing, the 48 laws. And so today I would like to discuss with you the beginnings of your marketing plan. And before we do that, I have to cover a couple of bases first. Something that's going to save you time, it's going to save you money, it's going to save you some heartache. Now I say some, it won't save you all, of course. It'll save you some heartache, and believe me, some is better than none, because that some might actually cause your heart to fail, you know. And there's been times in my life when I was a little younger that I found out that people will abandon you very quickly. In fact, you'll think they have your back, and then they just flat out won't. So a big part of your marketing plan, before we even get into that, you should be knowing, and I didn't say that right, you should be knowing already who you are as a person, the type of things that you will and will not stand for, your ethical and integrity levels. And I do say levels because there is all level. My integrity may be higher than yours. Your character may be higher than mine. Although I think I'm a very round person, I would give myself if I had to give myself a judgment, which I scarcely do, but if I just had to throw myself out there, and they used to have a dating app a long time ago, back in the days of MySpace. They had a dating app, and you'd post your picture, and the picture would say whether you're a hot or not or something like that, and it'll rate you like from a scale of 1 to 10, and a lot of times, like random people would rate your photos. They'd show men to men, and I'm not talking about your sexuality or nothing about it. I'm talking about if you're a straight female, they'd show you to a straight male, or if you're a straight female, they'd show you to both man and female. So it was kind of odd. And anyhow, they'd rate you from a scale from 1 to 10, and a lot of times no one got a perfect 10 because random people, you see like 30,000. It was before Facebook, long before Facebook came along, at least on a mainstream platform. I know it was done in college or at the University of, I think, Harvard, I believe, or Yale or something like that. Anyhow, that was a private platform. But now it's during that time, this was an open thing, and people would rate you from 1 to 10 on whether you're hot or not, and rarely anyone, even the most cutest of the people and most hottest, sexiest people on the planet, they rarely got 9s or 10s. Because, you would see like 30,000 people rated the photo. And so out of that 30,000, you're going to get some haters, People are not, everybody's not going to like you. And let's just say, if you're showing a straight guy to another straight guy and asking him, hey, how do you think this guy is on a 1 to 10? And he rates you a 0 or a 4, just because he's not attracted to males, that's going to hurt your status. And so a big thing is, so that platform went under. I think it went under. Maybe, I don't know. I haven't been on a dating app in 15 years. I don't know. Maybe it's around doing the biggest thing. Maybe it's what turned into Tinder or something. I have no idea. But I have no idea about dating apps. It's not my specialty. Go talk to my friend, Even Pagan. I think he's a dating guru master, or he was at one point in time. Anyhow, go see him. So what I'm saying to you is this: you have to know your status. You have to know where you are in life. You can't be seen on the wrong platforms. Let me break that down to you. I'll give you a story, for example. This is a real life example. Unless during the this is the bonus part of this course, but during the course or during any part of the course, including the bonus tips, including the PDF, or if you receive the actual physical manual, however you receive this material, because it will be branched out in different ways among the inner circle, among the mastermind, among Facebook, and some parts of video on Instagram. Whether you received it in the mail or on however you received it, digitally, it will be branched out different ways according to your particular status within the Music Academy Society. We know that if you're inside of this teaching, you got it because you're a part of the society. Okay? And you are established as a righteous member. That means that you're a level 1 entry and you have access to certain files. Other than that, you have to ascend the level to a master or a grandmaster to receive certain type of files or get that kind of information. But this particular information is branched out on all levels. So you're getting the creme de la creme, okay, or the top rank or the top cut of marketing info. And so there are deeper levels, and we'll go through that in another part, maybe part 3, maybe a little bit down the road on how to market yourself. But first, let's back up and cover our bases and just say that you can't be on the wrong platform. So all the stories that I'll give you will be real-life examples unless I otherwise state that they are. And a lot of times they are anyway. I'm just changing the names, okay? I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but I will from time to time call real names and people out just because I can do that, regardless of whatever they had to say about it. Not to defame anyone because I don't do that, but if I find myself present in your experience, that I have given my info, I have lended you my status, lended you a helping hand, and I took part of what took place at the event. I believe I have a perspective and I have a right to tell my students what's going on in the real world. So from time to time, I will call real names and real situations out. Other than that, I'll probably change the names. But this particular, likely 9 out of 10 of the, or at least 8 out of 10 of the things that we'll be speaking about will be non-hypothetical. And what that means is that there will be real-life examples of things that have happened during the marketing process or the production process that help someone or cause someone to be defeated in their business as independents. I will not be covering a lot of major artists or major labels for one particular reason, and that is this. And I'll be using a lot of independent, indie major names and figures, or just straight independent solopreneurs like myself with real life examples for one reason, and that is this, is that you need to know the truth about what matters most to you, how you're going to start making money, how you're going to adapt, how you're going to work this plan for yourself. And you need real life people who you can relate to, who you can contact to, who you can find on Facebook, who you can find on things like Score to help get you into the place where you need to be, that's going to shift you, so to speak, into a new atmosphere, into a new dynamic, into a new way of looking at your own life and your own style and your own way of doing things. And so you can't relate to someone that's on the big screen per se, not as a career status, because you yourself have not been on the big screen. Now, you may have had some ups and downs or some trials and tribulations in your business, your affair as a musician or an artist or engineer, a producer, or a manager. There are several types of people who are taking this course. You fall somewhere within that handful of people. Maybe you're a producer, like I said, which really means a lot of different things. We'll get into those topics a little later on down in the marketing tips and the 48 Laws of Strategy. Mostly we'll be talking about like rebranding and things of that nature when we're talking about the positions. But as I mentioned to you in a previous message, that you receive, you need to go back and check those messages, like I said, because they have some vital information in there, or just scan through some of the PDFs to see the topics that we're talking about, so you can kind of catch up if you miss anything. But I hope you're not listening to this out of sequence. Now, if you've taken the whole course, you want to just go do a refresher, that's fine. You can bounce around like that. At least you know what you're looking for. But hopefully you're taking the time. Hopefully you're taking the time to go through each step by step, and not just saying, "Oh, I want to." Hey, there goes how to shoot a video, or how to produce a song. Or, hey, there goes how to get a great mix or blend or master. Don't do that for one simple reason, is that you're going to throw yourself off. Yeah, you might have the skills to mix, but you won't understand the dynamics of what you're doing. Because I can tell you something, and I'll be throwing the secrets of the top 40 Billboard in this course for free, and they'll be kind of spread out all over the place. I might let you know from time to time, hey, here's a clue, here's clue number 2, here's whatever. It'll be structured like that because it's teaching you a well-rounded lesson plan on how you need to go about structuring your home recording studio business. And I keep saying business because this is in calls here. Anyhow, so it's structured in a way, because I keep saying business because it's structured in a way that's going to help develop you into a more well-rounded specialist. And what I mean by specialist is that if you're right now in the midst of saying, hey, I'm just starting, I'd like to get to know the studio, you'll understand much greater than those who have had 5, 6 months or maybe even years within music recording or defining themselves as artists. Here's why. It's because if you're just starting, you're just like a brand new baby. And you can learn how to talk, walk, and someone can help develop you much quicker and far easier than someone who's already saying, hey, I'm an engineer, hey, I'm a musician, hey, I'm a producer, hey, this and that, this and that, because not because that person can't be taught anything, but mostly because that person already has a specialty in what they're doing, and whether they're wrong or whether they're right, they typically don't want to see anyone change the rules of the laws about how they go about doing things, which could be totally wrong. And I'll just be honest, if you're calling yourself a producer or an engineer or a manager or any of none of these things, an artist, whether it be a rapper or a singer, excuse me, if you find me pausing for long moments, I'm getting calls all over the place. I don't know why my iPhone keeps letting calls through like that, but I'm recording this on the fly while I'm traveling. And so anyhow, where were we? You're getting a lot of people who have already decided in their mind what they want to do, where they want to go, and how they want to go about it. And someone comes along to try to reshape their mind, reshape their form of thinking, and reshapes their what they do. They're not going to like that very much. But if you're already calling yourself Mr. or Mrs. X, and this is what you do, and you're not seeing the results that you need to, what you need to do is stay tuned to this course, go step by step with us. And what I mean by us is that it's me and you. and you're in a group of small individuals, small individuals. That's funny. I don't do that show, Little House. No, I don't mean no offense against small people. Okay? I'm a very tall person. Everybody's smaller. But what I mean is this is a small group of individuals who are dedicated to helping you out. So you can reach out at any time to some of the people within this course, within the Facebook, within the live calls, etc. So that's what I mean. Stay tuned with us because you're doing this. It's me and you. But there's also other people who are taking parts of the course or a little bit ahead of you or maybe a little bit behind you who you can help out as well. And they can kind of refine you and you can help refine them, and you can all kind of what they call cross-pollination. You can take a little bit from them and they can take a little bit from you, and it'll help you grow and you can help them to start growing. And so that's what I mean by that. So if you're an artist, let's just say if you're a female singer and you want to cut a demo or extend your range or something like that, then you can do so. But you have to know with what intensity you want to try to do that, how you want to do that, why you want to do that, etc. Because that will help further develop your career as an artist. If you knew how to market yourself, if you knew how to let's just stay on top of the market. Let's not go straight too far because I don't want to confuse you. But you would have a more definitive range into your artistry. You wouldn't have to work as hard. I can tell you that much right now. Is that if you're a producer or not an actor, but a singer, or even an actor, but an artist, if you're in the entertainment industry in some kind of way, or you're trying to be, having a more refined value of what you're doing and why you're doing it is going to shoot you further than you even planned on going, just because of the propensity, the buildup of inertia, the energy that is within you and the knowledge that's within you. You'll shortcut time. And what I mean by that is that you won't spend a lot of time treading your wheels and spinning your wheels in one place. You'll actually go about doing your daily business. You see? So here's the point to all of that, is that here's a particular story about being on the wrong platform. There was, this is 2010-ish, it was like the beginning of the decade that just ended, and I do say just ended because this new one just started. This is 2020 decade. So it just started now. So, whether you find yourself listening to this at whatever point in time, this is a brand new decade. Like, this is an old material, okay? I can give you updates on anything that's going on in the world right now. All right? This is new material. So what I'm saying to you is that pay close attention to what I'm about to tell you. With this story especially, and see how many nuggets you can pull out of this. Being on the wrong platform, this was an artist I know at the time. They are no longer an artist, and here's why. Is that this particular person, I won't call their name, but they had a group that was they were bedroom studio producers. I'll put it like that, and they made fairly good music. I wouldn't say it was great music, but I mean, if they made 10 songs, you could probably pick one that you might buy from them, or you could probably listen to it a couple of times before you got rid of it. Or, they had potential to become someone, I won't say great, but they had a potential to be, like the local artist or whatever, maybe get played on the radio or something like that, if they only just followed the particular things that I was saying to them to do. And so I would come over and stop over from time to time at the studio just to check on them. And during the time I was there, and this was someone who was close to my wife at the time, and so I would stop over to see how they were doing in their projects, because when I first met them, or should I say they were first introduced to me, I was already a producer. I had already been on what was I doing at the time? Yeah, I had already been on television. I had already had tracks. I had already done a lot of stuff. I wasn't big. Didn't have a big name or anything. I hadn't started to make a lot of money, but I made it trickle a little bit. A lot of people say they make it rain, but I made it trickle a little bit. I was doing my thing. I had already been on tour buses. I had already been on the road a little bit. So I had my what's called, people call getting your feet wet. I already had my feet wet. I was about knee deep at the time within the music industry. And like I said, it had been years since I had cut my first demo. I had been to industry parties. I had what's called the golden ticket. I was on the spot. I was on the scene. And like I said, I mentioned to you before how I cut my first demo from putting the cassette players together and stuff like that, and stereos, and going to industry parties and really passing myself out as I didn't know it at the time, but as a marketer, that I was my own marketer, because I was a producer, I was the designer, meaning art design, I was the engineer, I was the songwriter. I did everything all by myself. I was the direct salesman. I did everything myself. I was a distributor. I boxed and packaged that stuff. I mean, it was all done artisan style by hand. All right, and with a pair of scissors, glue tape, cassette tapes, and Windows 95 word processor, all right, or Windows 97 or something like that, anyhow. And so I made it do what it do. And so when I met these individuals, that's who I was. I didn't have a big fancy name like that. I had already gotten guys on the radio, as I wrote down in my. You can find that in the book, The Radio Ready Report. You get this as a part of that course. If you had not had the time to read that yet, go ahead and get over to it. I don't know how the audio version is coming to that book, but it could be attached at this point. I really don't know how that process is going. I have someone to help me out with that study, my buddy Study. I'm sure you're familiar with him by now, so we'll see how he's going, how he's doing with that. And so my point is this, is that I was already establishing myself, or had established myself as an artist / the upcoming producer. And that I knew for sure, because I had already had my feet wet. Like I said, I was about knee deep in the midst of what was going on in the Atlanta scene during this time era. It was about 2005, 2006, somewhere in between those years. And so anyhow, that's when they first met me. And so over the years, like I said, that blew up with me exponentially, because I had already had contacts, I already had been on the road, I had already worked for a record label, I had already had shows, I already been on TV, things of that nature. So it was starting to grow as I went out more and more and made more contacts and met more people and did more. You do your thing over a period of time. I'm going to teach you how to do the exact same thing on your level and cut a lot of that fluff out of there. So I've already walked through the mud and the muck and the mire, so to speak, right? And anyhow, these particular guys, they had a home studio, and actually they hadn't had a home studio. They had a mom who had cut a couple of tracks before, helped somebody out, so she was familiar, and so actually her and I were really the associates. And so I found out through her that her sons were doing the same thing, or some people who would come over from to see her were interested in the same thing, so to speak. And so here's what happened. Over a period of time, as I began to grow as an artist, as a producer, as an engineer, as a, not getting my feet wet anymore, so now I'm swimming in it. I've met major artists. I've been in their homes. I've been in their studios. I've worked for them. I worked on their projects. They've worked on my project, etc. So now I have been established as an independent. I'm not signed to a label. I didn't sign a record deal. I spoke to you in a previous message about me turning down a couple of record deals because I wanted my leverage. If you haven't got that message, go back and check it out when you get a chance. Anyhow, so it was beneficial for me to make my own money. So now I was working as an established independent in major studios and with major artists. People who have Grammy winners, who are Grammy winners, who have been nominated for awards. And so people that you would typically see on TV or could read about if you had not known about it. But, a lot of the backstage people who don't have a big name, but they have a lot of big pull in the industry, and that's the way it goes. A lot of times the people who have really big names actually have no leverage, no pull. The studio owns their brand. And so I was talking and had learned how to associate myself with brand winners. I would just call that, we'll staple that label to this course, a brand winner. All right, and that's what this session is about. I'm teaching you how to be a brand winner. So pay close attention to what I'm about to reveal to you, because you will learn before this particular lesson is out how to be a brand winner. And so anyhow, I had established myself as an independent among brand winners. And I myself was becoming a brand winner. And a period of time went by, and these few guys who would stop by, they all kind of collected together. And over a time, the lady, she built a studio within her home, and I would come over from time to time just to consult and see how things are going and whatnot. And so I started to get mixed into what they were doing somehow. I don't remember how. Maybe it was just kind of, cross-pollination, like I said. And so I never had them work on anything for me, and I never worked on any of their stuff. But some kind of way, every time I would go over there, since they had better speakers, I think that was. Yeah, something like that. The particular guy, he had a lot. That's what it was. Before I started engineering for real, and went to school for it, he would tinker around with mixers and things of that nature. So I needed an engineer so I could stay up on my production game. I needed an engineer so I could stay up on my production game. So I didn't have time to learn how to engineer. I wanted someone to work with me, just like a lot of the major guys I saw, or the independent major guys I saw within the studio. They were the producers or the composers, and they had engineers. So I needed someone to do that because I didn't have time to work the board. This is before I started working the board professionally. And that's how I got kind of mixed into what they were doing. I would come over to check on the lady who was an artist. She was a singer, and a talented one. She had traveled the country, singing and whatnot. And they had more access to equipment. That's what it was. And my equipment at the house at the time was limited, and I wasn't doing any shows at the time, and so I just said, let me start getting back into my home studio game. And so I would go over and check on her, and then I would fall into what they were doing. And while they were there, I just started to say, hey, this and that, give certain tips and tell them about who I had been around, what I had seen professional guys do who were, much larger than both of us. Just try to give them tips here and there. And I think how it turned out is that they didn't believe it, so I would begin to bring over certain CDs, certain things that I had done, certain projects, and they started to get this. I did like, whoa, this guy is very serious about who he is. I didn't know he was this type of dude. And so from time to time, it went on, here and there as I would check on her, come over and visit her or whatnot. Is that we've developed a friendship over time, so to speak, more like a friendlyship, not a friendship, a friendlyship. And anybody who has ever had associates understand what that means. And so I would kind of associate with them when they were sitting in the studio, and they would ask my opinion about this and about that, and I would kind of A/B track for them. And I'd come over and play some stuff that I had done with a major label artist, and let them hear the mix and get their opinion on certain things, and just kind of cross-pollination with them, like I said. And they started to get really jealous. And one time, I came over and I brought a song that I had done with an artist who was signed to Master P label, No Limit Records. And this is around at that time. And one of the guys behind the board, he was an upcoming producer. I don't know whatever happened. And I think I checked on him a couple of years back. He never did do anything big, but he had a potential to be a producer, a beat maker, or at least a junior beat maker, who could work for someone. He had some potential. And he said to me, like, very, very snidely, if you so big, why you keep coming around here? And like everybody got quiet. And so it kind of revealed the situation to itself. And I said, I come around here because I like you guys. And so that made him feel really bad, And so after that, I withdrew my hand from that studio because I said, listen, I don't want to be around people who don't want to be around me. I had already learned, like I said, I learned these things I'm telling you now, that I don't have time to waste with you. If you don't need me around you, if we can't cross-pollination, if we can't do a little shop talk, if we're all producers, engineers, and upcoming artists, if you don't want to be around someone who's more knowledgeable than you to help you out, to help you shortcut your ways, and not trying to change your ways, but help you with what you want to do in life, then guess what? I don't want to be around you either, so I withdrew my head from the studio. And so after that, the studio fell under. And one of the guys from the group came out and reached out to me. He said, man, I remember that when that happened, he said, I've always wanted to just go over there and hang out at your studio. And so eventually he come over and visit my studio and talk about how he wanted this and that type of track from me. And I say, listen, I can help you, but you're going to have to, like, disassociate yourself from what you're doing. And I didn't mean any of his friends, anything. I didn't even mean any of those people. I was just straight up telling the guy, like, hey, if you got to rebrand yourself as an artist, otherwise you're not going to make it. You're going to be pretty much spinning your heels in the mud. And so he did. But and I helped him out on a project. I helped him do his first major project. And here's what I'm telling you. We spent a lot of time in the studio crafting his particular sound, helping him work on his vocals, helping him work on his persona as an artist, helping him to become the person that he needed to be in order to transition as a new kind of artist. And so he was kind of like one of those singing rappers type of guys, And so I helped him to understand the sound. I had been working with Lil Jon, and I had been working with certain guys. I worked with what was the guy's name? Soulja Boy, engineer, and so I worked with guys who were working with Young Jeezy and things of that nature, and so I was familiar with the types of tricks people would do in the studio to produce a certain sound when a guy didn't have that type of sound. It was like a template they would use, and it was already created to help shape somebody's sound or shift them into a new dimension of production. And so I showed him some of the secrets that I knew, some of them, not all of them, and he would take these tracks back to his own studio. And so eventually, like I said, that whole thing with him fell under because they found out he began working with me and his group fell apart and whatnot. And so I helped him. I said, listen, since you guys couldn't get a deal, I'm going to show you how to get a deal. And so he split from them and went full-time as a solo artist. And like I said, I helped him develop that first album from beginning to end, the entire sound. In fact, I gave him 2 tracks off of there that were made for independent major artists, or groups, excuse me. They're called Drop Zone. Drop Zone in Atlanta is I don't know how Drop Zone is doing these days, but back during the mid-2000 era, late 2010, like around the last decade, should I say, they were all in the clubs. They were everywhere. Okay, all over Atlanta. I don't know how far they reached out. I could probably ask the owner. I know him personally. We Facebook from time to time. I don't really keep up with him. He doesn't really keep up with me, but we know each other personally. So it's just a matter of phone call or a text or something like that. He'll tell me what's up. Anyway, if you could check them out. Maybe they're on Facebook somewhere. Anyhow, but I made tracks for them because I was in their studio every weekend. And they had it going on, trust me. And so I gave this particular guy who had switched his sound their tracks. And so this kept 2 things. This did 2 things for me. One, I honored my word, but 2, I had to break off a relationship with other people that I do because it kept Drop Zone off of the radio. These 2 tracks that I gave them were radio-ready tracks. And there's a secret to that, but I'll tell you why I did this. And I'll explain to you momentarily why I did this. But the tracks that I gave them, were radio-ready tracks. That means they were built specifically and tracked out and tuned and edited specifically for an artist. I believe his name at the time, he may have changed his name since then, but he was a kid artist called Young Icky. I think it was IKKI or Y or something like that anyway, but he was a young boy who was in the clubs already. He had been on television. I mean, this dude was nice. You understand what I'm saying? And he had 2 radio cuts for me. They were ready to go. And this is one of the reasons why I pulled out of the Drop Zone as the head producer and engineer, is because of when they presented to me the deal and the talks with the owner. Like I said, I know him personally. This is nothing between me and him. People will get hot for a minute, but I mean, there's no, bad blood or anything like that. At least I hope it's not, because it wouldn't come from me. But I mean, they went on and they still do their thing. Don't get me wrong. And I pulled out because this was his son, and he wanted to retain the rights, all the rights for that, and just kind of throw me a piece of the bone. And like I said, I had by this time already went through college, already kind of understood contracts, already, been around different celebrities and whatnot to see how the way they handle business, the end of the studio thing. And I just straight up told them, no deal. I need my leverage. If you don't have leverage in a contract, we'll get to contracts maybe later. But particularly, we probably just brush over it. Contracts are really not necessary within your home studio business if you're dealing with your own crew. Now, I'll tell you why they are necessary. It's simply because you will need to clarify some things with your group about who's in charge and if anything happens as far as money is concerned, how that's going to be split up between you guys. So other than that, contracts are really not necessary. So anyhow, my point is to say all that is this. is that being on the wrong platform can really do a hazard or do you deficiency to your business. And I keep calling it a business because you need to start thinking about yourself as a brand. You need to be starting thinking about yourself and your skills, your talents, your abilities, that even if you're trying to get some, that you're doing it for a reason. You're not just doing it just to hang out at the house and show everybody what you can do. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I mean, at the end of the day, there comes a point in time after you sharpen the steak or sharpen the knife so much that you have to go cook. And then when you get to cook, you don't just cook just to present a dish and take a picture of it. Yeah, you might do that, but your point to cook is to eat. And your point to eat is to be full. And your point to be full is to have energy for your body. And your point to have energy for the body is to live. And your point to live is to have experience, okay? And I'm not going to repeat that. Just go back and listen to what I just said. And that's the whole point of you doing music, is that it first needs to be a study as to what you need to know where you want to go with it. All right? Know where you want to go with it. And once you know where you want to go with it, you know what you want to do with it. And once you know what you want to do with it, you'll begin to understand the dynamics of what you need to do. And then once you understand what you need to do, then you'll begin to produce results. And then when you produce a result, of course, you need to be compensated for that result. And your point in making music, I'll just give it to you if you don't even know, so if you don't have one. Your point in making music, composing music, singing music, playing music, recording music, is to make other people happy. People listen to music to be happy. They don't listen to music to be sad. Yeah, there's songs that are sad, and there's songs that are melancholy, and there's songs that kind of, get you angry and stuff. But the point of the song is really to relate to the person how they should feel about the situation. And the person listens to that song because it puts them in a state of mood that they want to be in. They want to feel tough. They want to feel rough. They want to feel pumped up. They want to feel happy. They want to feel in love. And so that's your point in doing that, is to making that type of music. Now, hopefully you're not, making music that's derogatory and, things of that nature. I mean, let's move past that, people. Everybody has done songs about that, but I mean, you don't need to be. Look, listen, I'm not going to give you a lecture on what type of music. You want to make music, make whatever kind of music you want to make. But what I'm telling you is that have some character, have some integrity, and know where you want to go in your music. And your point, especially if you're a male, you don't need to be making songs like that about females, okay? But if you do, I'm going to show you how to make some money off of it. But my point is saying that is that people listen to your music, and definitely if you're making songs like that, you know what kind of songs I'm talking about females, they won't buy your records. Go read the Radio Ready report when I talk about it in part 3, finding the hook, about finding out who your demographic is and how to market to them. And especially if you're making songs, women are, I'll just expose this to you, since it is coming down from the mastermind, the Inner Circle course, to information to you and going out to them, is that you already know that women buy most of the thing. They control 85%. In fact, the last time I checked, it was a few years ago, they control 85% of the nation's wealth. Okay? Now, with the recent collapse of this economy, that means pretty much the ball is in the women's court right now to bring back the economy. All right? The economy just collapsed. It crushed it, and Donald Trump closed it down. People are sinking into debt. We don't want to talk about that, all right? But the ball is now in the ladies' court, all right? Now, if you go and make some songs like what Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg used to make back in the day and do all those type of videos, you already can consider hanging yourself, all right? It's over with for you, buddy. Because let me tell you what, women control now the nation's wealth. And so you want to begin to try to market, ladies, hello, can we stand up, please, and say amen? All right, thank you. So listen, if you want to start making music, you want to start figuring out how to market to the ladies and women, you already know what to do, so I'm not going to go there, but I'm going to show you how to work and operate in a man's world, and that's going to make you a lot stronger. So I'm talking to you, right? And so my point is this, saying this to you, is that being in the wrong arena could really ruin your opportunities. And so I took that I took that track, those two tracks from the Drop Zone, which were ready for the radio. It was ready for a station in Atlanta, Hot Atlanta. I don't remember the name of the station right now, so don't give me the line. I called a couple of out, but I could be wrong. But anyway, it was ready for the radio. And I took the track back from them because they didn't want to give me my entire leverage, which I demanded, and I still obtained. And I gave it to the single individual artist because he had signed with me as my artisan. I was his manager now, and he was my artist. And so I was executive producer. I had control of this entire project. But I promised him a 50-50 split. But I maintained control of my rights to all the stuff. So I mean, I own everything, but I would split the sale with him. And so anyway, what happened was this. I took those tracks from the Drop Zone. They didn't get on the radio. I gave it to this particular artist. We went into the studio, recorded his first album from finish to end. I produced the whole thing. People were calling me over the phone, asking me what's happening with the tracks, why are they not getting their tracks, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so me and this particular artist, we went out and we did a show. I got him his first real live venue. This was a paid venue, first time he ever did a paid venue. I think he did some open mics or something like that, and I don't know if he got cheered or booed. I don't know what happened. But he had never had an experience where he was getting paid to do a live show. And so I talked to him over and over again. I said, hey, you got to do this show like this. You got to be ready. You got to be ready. You got to be ready. People are working out. Let me tell you something, what artists do, real life artists do. They work out in the gym to their songs. They rap while they're working out. They sing while they're working out so they can have stamina, energy, and so forth to bring the song to life to you. Now, guess what happened? It kept leading up to the day he was getting ready to do the venue. Kept leading up to the day, kept leading up to the day, kept leading up to the day. And what ended up happening is that he got to the venue and was completely off key. He was out of tune, out of breath. He had not even rehearsed his own lyrics, so he didn't know how to sing his own song. And guess what? At the end of the day, when I looked at the promoter, he had to pay me. And yeah, it was the first show. Your first show is always going to be pretty bad. I'm not going to lie to you. They're always going to be kind of bad. But this was, in my opinion, was horrendous. I had too much experience to let this happen to me. And so I realized that guess what, was under the wrong kind of platform with the wrong type of people. And he soon realized that he had done the same. Is that he was not ready for the big time. He was not ready to be an artist, getting paid, doing shows, having people know his name. He just wanted to be a home studio artist, being on the block, talking to the guys, playing it on the speaker, the Ticker 12s or the Super Blues, whatever you got in your trunk. He wanted to play his music loud in the JVC back in his mom's studio. And he wanted to pull up at work playing his own music, but he wasn't ready to be a real-life artist like those who were at the Drop Zone. And so guess what? We both learned a lesson that day, is that we were both hanging around the wrong people. I was hanging around him, who was not ready to go somewhere as an artist, and he was hanging around me, who was already a professional and was looking for other professional people to work with. And so guess what happened? That relationship dissolved very quickly. The album was released, but all of his requests that people called me for, I shut it down. I took all the rights back to the production that was made. I took every cent that was made. I folded the project up, and I archived it. It was never released. There was a double CD made. A lot of promises was made, and it never came to anything. I never made my money back on it, and there were thousands spent that I never made back. And I was going to re-release the project, and I just said, you know what, I'm going to cut my losses here. I'm going to cut my losses. I'm going to cut them big time. And that's what I did. And that's what I want to tell you today, is that how marketing is in the plan here. But you have to first know who you are, what you're going to do, and what you're going to do about it. You have to know whether you're for real or you're for fake. All right? And that guy thought he was for real, but he was for fake. Well, I was for real, and I didn't know he was for fake. I just thought he needed some help. You have to know and so that's one thing. We didn't know about each other. So you have to know that about yourself before you begin to market yourself. You already know whether you're for real or for fake. But guess what? You're not for fake because you're here in this course. You're here talking to me. You're here listening to me. I'm talking to you. You're talking to me. We're in the same bucket together. And guess what? That's why I'm here. I'm here to help for real people. I'm here to help people who want something out of life. And if that's you, this is all the time I have for now. We'll discuss this a little later. This has been Terry Wilburn, your friend. I'll let you soon.